Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's Craftaway webinar on OpenAIRE Services and their integration with the OpenAIRE Graph. Today we are pleased to welcome Alessia Bardi from CNR, who will be presenting two OpenAIRE Discovery services, OpenAIRE EXPLORE and OpenAIRE Connect. We are also joined by Leonidas Pispiringas, scholarly communication technical expert at OpenAIRE, who will showcase OpenAIRE Monitor along with insights and use cases from power users leveraging OpenAIRE services for their research and institutional needs. Additionally, we are thrilled to have Katie Bannon, Senior Information Officer at the World Bank Group, who will present their use case with the OpenAIRE Monitor. During the presentation, we kindly ask that you keep your microphones muted and cameras off. For the Q&A, feel free to unmute and turn on your camera if you'd like to participate. You are also welcome to submit your questions or comments in the chat at any time. Please note that this session will be recorded and transcribed. If you wish to participate in the Q&A but prefer not to be included in the recording, let us know in the chat. So with this, Alessia, the floor is yours.
Thank you. 1 second to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so we already had a webinar 2 days ago about the OpenAIRE Graph and how it is related to the European Open Science Cloud. So this webinar instead will focus on some of the services of OpenAIRE and how they are related to the graph. So for those who were not present in the previous webinar, I had to do a little introduction about OpenAIRE and the OpenAIRE Graph. So OpenAIRE is an organization, a no-profit organization that supports scholarly communication infrastructure, a sustainable scholarly communication infrastructure, and we offer services and support for open science in different ways. Most of the technical services that we offer are based on the OpenAIRE Graph, which is our key asset, I would say, but not only for OpenAIRE, it's a key asset for the open science infrastructure as a whole. And sorry, it's open, it's transparent, meaning that we keep information about the provenance of each and every information that we have in the graph, and it's participatory. So everyone can participate with its metadata and with its knowledge and with its expertise. What do we mean by scholarly knowledge graph? It's a collection of metadata records that describe different entities of the research life cycle. So we have research products, which can be publications, data, software, or other types of research products, like, for example, protocols, methods, workflows. And they are related to other entities of the research life cycle. So they are related to their authors. They are related to research infrastructures. They are related to the data sources. So where OpenAIRE collected the records and the repository where the full text is actually hosted. They are funded by project grants. And of course, there is also a relationship with organizations because of the affiliations, but also because the organizations participate into projects. As you can see, there are big numbers into play. So almost 200 million publications, about 70 million research data, and so on and so forth. So as you can imagine, we collect this information from multiple places, from different data sources. We have a big network of institutional and thematic repositories that are compliant with the OpenAIRE guidelines, which are international guidelines for metadata exchange. We have the directory of open access journals. We collaborate with other big initiatives worldwide, like La Referencia, which is an aggregator from Latin America, but we have also collaboration with Japan, for example. And clearly we create also synergies with other scholarly knowledge graph like Open Citations, Microsoft Academic Graph, and but also Crossref and others. But the OpenAIRE Graph is not just an aggregation. We do much more, because once we aggregate metadata records from all these sources, we are also able to produce enrichments. So by analyzing the full text of open access publications, by analyzing the content of the metadata that describe the publications and the other types of research products, we can infer information that is not explicitly available at the source. So links to projects, links to data, affiliation information. We classify the research products based on the fields of science, and we can also identify if a research publication is contributing to any sustainable development goals. So we put everything together, and at the end we have the graph, which is also fed to the EOSC, as we discussed already 2 days ago, but it is also used by our portals and other services. So as you can imagine, we need several skills. So the team of the OpenAIRE Graph is very big, but we also need hardware resources. So here you can see the number of the OpenAIRE infrastructure, which is offered by ICM from University of Warsaw. So there is big numbers into play to make this a reality. And this is to say that gathering everything in one single entry point is something that requires time, resources, research and development, and expertise. OpenAIRE offers services for a plethora of different stakeholders of scholarly communication. You can see them all in this slide, and you can find more details in the catalog. Today, we will focus only on some of them, those that you can see in color. And the first one is OpenAIRE EXPLORE. So once we produce the graph, now we have a data set, and we need to make it, its content discoverable. So Explore is a web portal that allows you to discover everything that is available in the OpenAIRE Graph. And to do that, it offers simple search and advanced search. You have filters to drill down your search results. You can sort according to different criteria. You can download a CSV of your search results. The portal also features an integration with ORCID, so you can claim that this research product is yours, and that will be added to your ORCID profile directly. And you also have the opportunity to create links between research products and the other entities of the graph. So for example, you can say that this publication has been funded by this research product, or this software is described in this research paper, in this research paper. And well, if you go to explore.openair.eu, you will find these functionalities and much more. It's a very rich portal. And because the graph is very wide, even if Explorer has many functionalities, still wasn't really user-friendly for communities that want to have a clear view of what is relevant to them. So think about a research infrastructure who would like to have a single entry point to all the research products that are produced thanks to its services. Think about research communities on energy research that would like to have in one single entry point everything and only the research products that are about energy research. So this is what OpenAIRE Connect allows. So basically, we can create customized view of the OpenAIRE graph that focus on the content that is relevant for one specific community. And this portal that we can create with OpenAIRE Connect, it's completely configurable by the managers of the community. So they can configure the look and feel so that it matches the visual identity of the community. And there is also a dashboard through which they can modify the content of the pages of the portal. They can define the criteria by which a research product can be considered relevant for the community, and so on and so forth. Okay, here you have some examples of use of OpenAIRE Connect. So as I said, think about research infrastructures, thematic communities like research projects and research networks, but we also have several use cases of university alliances and also national initiatives like the one for the Netherlands research portal. Both Explore and Connect share the same, let's say, platform for discovery. So this is a screenshot from a Connect gateway on geothermal research, but the same options can be found also in Explore. So you can see a number of filters that you can apply to your search results based on the type of access. So if it's open, if it's not open, based on the type of research products, but also based on funders, on fields of science, and there are much more available on the website if you go there. And also for the sorting, as you can see, we can sort by relevance, but also by date and by citation count and other impact measure that we integrate into the graph. When you select one research product, you go to its landing page, and it's a very rich landing page that shows plethora of information, starting from the different versions. Because OpenAIRE identifies duplicates, because we may collect different metadata records about the same publications from different places. For example, from the publisher and an institutional repository. We identify that these two metadata records are about the same thing, so we put them together. So this is why, for example, in this screenshot, you see that there are two versions. We also show persistent identifiers, and we have also the impact indicators that are produced by the BIP service operated by Athena Research Center. We have information about the type of open access. So the different versions of the product may be available according to different open access colors, we say. So in this case, we have a publication that is published on a hybrid journal, but it's also available as green open access via the repository. Very important is also the possibility to know that a publication is linked to other research. So, for example, we can know that this publication is supplemented by research data. So thanks to the enrichment that OpenAIRE does, and thanks to identification of duplicates, we have richer information with respect to what is available on the repository side or on the publisher side. We are participatory, but not only for getting data, we are participatory also for giving data back. And to give data back, we designed this OpenAIRE broker service, which is a way for the providers of data to get back the enrichment that OpenAIRE calculated. We have different types of enrichment available. We can have enrichment about open access version, a paper, about links to project, subject classification, abstract, PIDs, publication dates, ORCID IDs of the authors of the publication, and references to the fields of science and the sustainable development goals. And this is something that we have to make available yet. So this is something that we are working at the moment. Through OpenAIRE Provide, which is the service for content providers of OpenAIRE, through that user interface, you can have a preview of the enrichment that OpenAIRE calculates for your data source. I'm not going into the details because otherwise I will take too much time. But this is an example of an enrichment about a persistent identifier. So we say that this record, we identified an additional persistent identifier from HAL that was not available in the original repository. And this is a similar example for the abstract this time. So the thing is that if you go to provide, you see a preview of what is available, but in order to get all the enrichments for your data source, then you have to subscribe. So you click on the dedicated button to subscribe to the events, and then every time OpenAIRE calculates the event, you will notify an email. And you can consume these events, these enrichments in different ways. So for sure, you can see it on OpenAIRE Provide. So it's a human readable version of the enrichments, but you can also download the JSON, so a machine readable version of the enrichments, so that you can somehow integrate them into your platform. Another interesting service is for providers, which really can be of different types, from repositories to journal platforms to publisher platforms, is usage counts. And what's the idea behind usage counts? Is that with your system, you track the number of views and downloads in your own platform. But OpenAIRE, because it performs the duplication, as I explained before, OpenAIRE knows if the same product is deposited also in another place, in another repository. So basically what you do with usage counts is that you put together your own usage statistics with the usage statistics about the same product from different repositories. And then you can access these aggregated metrics from the OpenAIRE Provide portal. So this is an example for a repository, for an Italian repository from University of Modena Reggio Emilia. So as you can see, we have the number of downloads, the number of views, and then you have access to the different reports which are compliant to the standard counter code of practice. And basically this is the process. So on Provide, you get the tracking code that you can install into your system. And once the installation, let's say, is validated by OpenAIRE, you have access to the reports. And you have a dedicated page on Provide to enable metrics. And then you're prompted with instructions. So basically, the information that you need to add to your platform are the Matomo identifier and the authentication token. And once the installation is confirmed, is validated by OpenAIRE, then we will start collecting your usage statistics, and you will have it visible in charts like this. And you also will be able to download the reports that are compliant to, as you can see, different version of the counter code of practice standard. And this is an example for the reports for R1, which I do not remember, number of successful item downloads. Also, okay, so these are downloads. And as you can see on the bottom right, the downloads do not only happen from the repository of Modena and Reggio Emilia, but also from others, like ePrint Soton or City Research Online. So now you have in one place the statistics from different repositories. So the takeaway message for my presentation today is that really the OpenAIRE Graph is an open resource, it's a public good. So OpenAIRE is managing the OpenAIRE Graph, but OpenAIRE is not like something weird. It's an organization that is based on membership, and we have more than 40 members that are academic, research institutions, or in general, organizations that commit for an open scholarship. And we are an open organization. So if your institution is interested to contributing to the different kind of activities that OpenAIRE performs, you can become a member yourself and you can be involved in all our activities and operations. Regardless that whether you are a member of OpenAIRE or not, the graph is open, so you can use it. You can use it via our API, via our portal, and you can contribute to it with your content if you manage a data source. So this concludes my presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alessia, so much for your presentation. Leonidas, would you like to move on with your presentation? Do we have any questions in Alessia's presentation? Okay, so Leonidas, the floor is yours.
Leonidas, you're muted.
You're right, I was muted. So thank you very much. Taking us from Alex's presentation, I'll go through the rest of the services that we're going to describe, to present to you today. This is the OpenAIRE Monitor and Open Science Observatory, and also we will talk about a few words about the scientific knowledge graph of open citations, as the bibliometrics and the citations is an extremely important asset and part also for this webinar. So regarding OpenAIRE Monitor, what is OpenAIRE Monitor? OpenAIRE Monitor empowers research stakeholders with actionable insights rooted in responsible research assessment, transparency, and replicable methodologies to maximize the impact of their research activities and accelerate the global transition to open science. It delivers tailored dashboards, interactive visualizations, and customizable options to meet your needs, whether you're a funder, research initiative, or institution. It's also for the hosting platform that will serve the publisher dashboard that we have been developing for Craftaway project, for dashboards of publishers, institutional publishers, and the Diamond Open Access journals. So why use the OpenAIRE Monitor platform? First of all, it's all about open science and open data. We have inclusiveness, transparency, and replicability. We have full coverage of open science that goes beyond publications, spreading to research data, software, other research products, from patents to clinical trials and several other types. And of course, the lead science, where we have relations and links of publications with datasets, software, and other research products. Relevance for the community, as it is clearly stated, and as OpenAIRE exists in its first day of existence, we work with the community. So everything, the indicators and metrics that we have developed for OpenAIRE Monitor have been co-developed with the community in order that these metrics make sense to everybody. And of course, it's fully embedded in the EOS infrastructure, as we have already presented in the first webinar. It starts from the content providers and, of course, to all the included metrics. So our methodology is open and transparent. Assumptions are openly and clearly presented. We have clear definitions for every entity or attribute that we use in order to utilize the indicators. The coverage and accuracy were based on data we get from OpenAIRE Graph, from multiple authoritative data sources, which have been already presented to you in these webinars. Clarity and replicability are part of the documentation. All the indicators are clearly documented, verified, and they're used by the scholarly communication community. And of course, readiness and timeliness, as already Alessia has presented. We have a big data infrastructure and operational workflows to warrant timely results. So with OpenAIRE Monitor, we have a dashboard on demand. We create dashboards on demand. What does it mean? We have, let's go from the bottom to top. We have the OpenAIRE Graph, where we have incorporated the publishers, the organizations, funder, and the institutions or organizations that complement a community or a research initiative. We have the OpenAIRE experts, the data scientists that have developed, co-developed specific metrics and indicators, community-led for the dashboard, and in collaboration with stakeholder, this organization that wants to have a dashboard in OpenAIRE Monitor, we create a custom profile for that organization. For each type of organization, there is a respective OpenAIRE expert, whether it is an institution, funder, or research initiative. And of course, for the Open Science Observatory platform, where we have open access indicators for European countries, So I mentioned the one-on-one expert consultations. We are here with every organization that requests a dashboard in OpenAIRE Monitor from the beginning in order to utilize the dashboard by gathering all the needed metadata and whatever else is needed from the OpenAIRE Graph. And we are alongside the whole process to present the dashboard features, the editing and the user management of the profiles in the platform. Of course, we get feedback regarding the metrics and indicators, and of course, opinions and options to create and develop new metrics and indicators. And of course, we work closely on improving the data quality and validation by registering the data sources of the organization, whether it is a repository, open access journal, or CRIS platform, into OpenAIRE Provide, so that they're incorporated into the OpenAIRE Graph. Then the duplication process via the OpenAIRE platform, and then the duplication process via the OpenAIRE platform. So the indicator themes we have in OpenAIRE Monitor. The 5 basic themes are research output, open science, funding, collaborations, and impact. On the research output theme, we have indicators for all the research products, from publications, dataset, software, and other research products. In publications, we have metrics and indicators for all publications and also for the peer-reviewed publications. We have, in the open science section, we have indicators about fairness, about access rights and open access routes, green open access route, gold hybrid, and bronze open access, with indicators about general business model and also Plan S and the transformative agreements, and also metrics regarding the article processing charges. In the funding theme, we have metrics and indicators for grants and projects. spreading from the European projects and also the information, the funding information we get in OpenAIRE from the funders. Currently, we have 158 funders that have been sharing their project data with OpenAIRE. And of course, we have metrics for the three framework programs starting from European Commission, starting from FP7 to Horizon 2020 and to Horizon Europe. We have the collaborations team where we present metrics and indicators regarding collaborations via project participations and also collaborations via co-authorship and co-creation. And in the impact theme, we have metrics regarding the downloads and citations at the reach and frequency category. And of course, we also have indicators broken down by the Sustainable Development Goals. Regarding the interdisciplinarity in all the information themes, we also present metrics and indicators broken down by field of science. Also product type, time, we present trends by countries, by data sources, funders, and several other breakdowns depending on the theme and the category we want to present metrics. Regarding the platform and the futures of the platform, we have user-friendly dashboards, we have interactive visualizations where you can navigate easily, deselect options inside the charts. You can zoom in, zoom out. We have exporting capabilities where you can download the visualizations in different formats. Also, you can download the data accompanying the visualizations, the data that we used in order to create the visualizations. And we're also going to incorporate an embedding functionality where you can embed a specific chart into a website. Into a website of yours. We have filtering capabilities, browsing functionalities where you can see at the research product level all the research products that we utilize in order to create these metrics and indicators. It's a direct connection to OpenAIRE EXPLORE. And of course, we have also partial editing of visualizations. Another part of the functionalities is the control on how you can share your dashboard or your individual metrics and indicators. There are three levels of access, three access levels. We have the public indicators, where you have everything, where they are available for everyone in order to showcase your profile. We have the restricted indicators, where in order to access these parts of your profile, of the dashboard, you need to be signed in the OpenAIRE Monitor and also given member access by the manager of the dashboard. And of course, we have the private indicators that are only available to the dashboard managers. And all these are customized and validated, of course, in one-on-one course sessions with us. Well, we have already discussed that in our sessions, we can develop the dashboard futures, the indicator feedback, and also the data quality and validation. The data quality and validation spreads into two parts. The first part is the curation in the OpenOps platform, where I will explain in the next slide, and the registration of the data sources of the organization in OpenAIRE Provide of the repositories, Open Access Journals, and TRIS platform, where we have discussed and presented the service at the first webinar that we have given on Monday. So what is OpenOps? OpenOps is a platform for bridging registries of research organizations. You can perform disambiguation of your organization. The disambiguation spreads on the duplication of the different names that exist of your organization in the metadata that we aggregate from the several data sources, and also where you can state a parent-child relationships of organizations. For example, whether we have when we have faculties, departments inside an institution. The process is first of all we create suggestions in order to handle the duplication. On the OpenAIRE Graph workflow, we create suggestions of these different names that are presented using our algorithm. And in the second step, the data curators take over and they go through and review these suggestions and decide if the respective names are indeed duplicates of the organization or not. And of course, at the final stage, based on the feedback and these inputs from the data curators, we incorporate this workflow and utilize it in the OpenAIRE Graph. So, before I go through the Open Citations service, I'm repeating a slide from our webinar on Monday regarding bibliometrics. These are the assets that are provided by the OpenAIRE Graph that are interested for bibliometrics. Apart from the basic metadata for research product, we have involved the citations, which we aggregate them from cross-ref from Open Citations and other data sources, and these are all deduplicated. Citations that comes from multiple versions of a paper count once. We have pre-cooked indicators, citation-based impact indicators, and they are computed by the big platform Athena Research Center. And also we have the usage indicators from the usage count service where Alessia has already presented. Of course, we have the associations with field of science and sustainable development goals, linked science, linked to research funding and grants, and also to data sets and software. And of course, the affiliations with organizations and countries. So, Open Citations, it has been established as a community-guided open infrastructure to provide access to global scholarly bibliographic and citation data as linked open data using semantic web technologies. Its mission is to harvest and openly publish accurate and comprehensive metadata and to preserve ongoing access to this information by secure archiving. They have a specific data model that they can build and they follow. And of course, regarding the operability, they offer REST APIs, SparkQL endpoints, dumps, and also other interfaces to access the metadata. Open Citations are focused, Open Citations platform is focused on openly licensed data to ensure transparency and reusability. It actively contributes to initiatives like the Initiative for Open Citations. And the sources where they get the citation data come from Crossers, PubMed Central, data sites, open access repositories, where here are included institutional and subject-specific repositories that openly share metadata and citation information, scholarly publishing and academic resources coalition, and also from publisher contributions, where publishers and journals that voluntarily share their citation data openly with Open Citations. In this slide, I'm describing a part of the pre-cooked indicators, which are the citation-based impact indicators that are computed by the Brain Intelligence platform of Athena Research Center, which has been designed to support research and innovation by providing intelligence services for information management and analysis. We have incorporated specific citation-based impact indicators into the OpenAIRE Graph. We have the citation count, which are the number of citations, the incubation citation count, named impulse. This metric track the citation that had been received within a defined initial period. For example, the first year after publication. This way, you can measure the early impact of a publication. We have the influence metric, which is a page rank. It's a network-based metric that evaluates the importance of a publication based on the influence of the publication citing it. This is inspired by the Google PageRank algorithm. We also have the research achievement metrics, the popularity alt, as mentioned in the OpenAIRE Graph, which is a composite metric that combines multiple indicators, such as citation, age index, and productivity, to provide a holistic evaluation of a researcher's performance. And we also have the attribution rank, named popularity, which is also a network-based metric, assessing the influence of a publication by analyzing how its ideas, methodologies, or findings are adopted and cited across subsequent research. Of course, there are much more details regarding the documentation and how these indicators have been computed. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Leonidas, so much for your presentation. Would someone like to address any questions? Please feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat. Okay, no questions for now. We can move on to Katie's presentation. Katie, would you like to share your screen? Thank you. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Katie Bannon. I'm from the World Bank, and I've been working with OpenAIRE for a couple of years to build the World Bank's Open Science dashboard. So first of all, why are we using the OpenAIRE dashboard? The bank has been increasingly trying to look into open science to see how the institution is doing. Are we meeting open science standards? How can we do better? And in order to do that, we need good data. We can't just hey, yeah, we're doing great. No, we really want to get reliable data so we can accurately see how we're doing. More recently, there's been a large strategic initiative at the bank called the Knowledge Compact, and part of that includes promoting open science. So we have greater senior management support, so there's even greater demand for better data. Additionally, I've worked personally on the access to information policy for a long time, and we do an annual report every year to explain what we've been doing. And open science will be mentioned in, I think, the upcoming annual report. So there's a few areas where we need good data in order to demonstrate that we're working towards these goals. So then, faced with this problem, how do we get good data? Why OpenAIRE instead of just building it ourselves? The bank definitely tries to build a lot of its own monitoring systems. There's plenty of them, but because open science is so broad, I mean, there's data, there's code, there's bank published publications, there's journals by other publishers. It's such a sprawling ecosystem of output that I see OpenAIRE as much more cost effective for us. They already have invested so much money, as they've been explaining in these earlier presentations, to create this really solid infrastructure to create a holistic picture of the data. There's no way that we could do that internally. Additionally, I do think there's a huge value in having a third party managing this, because when an institution monitors itself, it tends to be not intentionally, but it can be biased. It has blind spots. So I think having this kind of neutral, way to monitor open science it makes a lot of sense. It also has really forced us to adhere to international standards and to make our content a lot more interoperable. Lastly, I've seen, as I mentioned, my earlier work in access to information, that institutions, they really respond to comparisons to their peers. I know the goal of OpenAIRE is not to incite competition amongst institutions, but from my perspective, as institutions see how their peers are doing, it will really help incentivize, increased investment in open science. I've seen this happen in access to information. There's an organization called the International Aid Transparency Initiative, and they create an annual index called Publish What You Fund, and it ranks in like financial institutions about how transparent they are. So definitely the World Bank and its peers pay attention to this index, and it helps incentivize better performance. It also, of course, helps those institutions then to collaborate amongst themselves to see how they can learn from each other and do better. Then on the right, I just put some quotes. Just the World Bank has been trying to be an open knowledge institution for quite a while, really starting off with James Wolfenson in 1996 speech. He spoke of the global knowledge commons and started this idea of the World Bank being a knowledge bank. The bank before this was primarily known as a lending institution, so it added the knowledge to that lending. The larger quote before that is from President Zellick in 2010, when the bank really adopted open data and open access as a way of working in around 2010. And then lastly, at the top, open science will be leveraged to energize knowledge co-creation. That's a quote from the recent Knowledge Compact that I just mentioned. So all this to say is that the bank has been invested in trying to be a more open knowledge institution over time. And open science is really providing a useful framework for understanding how to do that better. And then in turn, the OpenAIRE services have helped us see where we can do better. Right, so next I'm gonna, let's see if I can switch slides. Okay. Do you guys see the screen experience building the dashboard?
Oh, I still see the slide.
Mhm.
All right, hold
Yes.
on. This always happens with this presentation. Let me reshare. Right, do you see it? A new slide now?
No, Katie, we cannot see your slide.
All right, right there.
Now we can see
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So I wanted to go through just some of the repositories that we dealt with, tried to integrate into the Open Science dashboard. The ones with the stars are the ones that have been successfully integrated so far. So the first was our Open Knowledge repository, which is where the bank's like kind of best knowledges, all our really flagship publications, our best stuff. So that, because it was built in a platform called DSpace, it was already OAI PMH compliant. It was kind of set up to adhere to standards, and that has been successfully integrated now into the research graph. So that's been a big success. The only thing pending in that repository is to add the plugin to count usage statistics. So that's on our list to add in the future. Next, we also have a big repository. It's really an online archive it's called Documents and Reports. And this has kind of project records as well as scholarly research. It's been set up to be an archive, not a kind of research repository. So it's been really a challenge to figure out how to include that in the research graph. Most of the content does not have a DOI. It doesn't follow OAI PMH standards. There's some overlap with the content in OKR. So it's been really challenging for us to identify like how to best integrate this into the research graph. And that's still pending. Next, what is journal articles? The bank publishes quite a large number of journal articles with external publishers, but we don't really have a holistic way of tracking our output at the institutional level. Different departments track what they do, but we don't have a really solid way of seeing the full output. So to me, this has been one of the biggest benefits of the research graph, is that because it collects data from all the different publishers, we finally are able to see more holistically what the bank itself has been producing. So that's been super helpful. Excuse me. It's also made us really take a harder look internally to see how we can better manage or see this process internally. But again, the fact that the research graph pulls data from all these different publishers and integrates it in one spot has been really invaluable for us to see our full output. Next, I just wanted to mention a kind of special use case that the bank has. We do publish ourselves 2 journals, the World Bank Research Observer and the World Bank, I think, Economic Report, WBER. We publish these through Oxford University Press. And of course, the articles that are published through those journals are included in the research graph. But I just wanted to highlight an additional metric that I also found useful, and maybe this will be included in the future. But the Center for Open Science in the US has created a kind of, it's called the Transparency and Openness Promotion Factor, I think the top factor. And it helps rate journals in terms of how open they are. So this has been a useful metric for us in terms of looking at how do our specific journals compare in terms of open publishing. So I just wanted to mention that as an aside. Maybe that's something for OpenAIRE to consider integrating in the future. Or maybe they already have and I haven't noticed yet. Next is data sets. We do have a World Bank Development Data Catalog called the Development Data Hub. And we were able to integrate that into the research graph. They have an API. It wasn't exactly matching the standard needed, so we were able to map those fields into the required standard and integrate the data. So that's been great. We are very interested in really using the FAIR assessments to better understand how our specific data is complying with FAIR standards. There's also a huge amount of interest in data citations. So we're going to be looking more closely at that information. Next, on the research code, the bank has recently created something called the Reproducible Research Repository, which publishes research reproducibility packages. So we're going to try and integrate that. That's have an API. We need to just look at it and see if we can map it to the required standard. The bank also has a World Bank GitHub instance, kind of organized at the enterprise level. But we haven't really connected that with the Zenodo community, which is kind of required to integrate into the research graph. So that's making us kind of revisit our current setup to figure out how to create a more robust code catalog. Lastly, I wanted to mention something else we've been discovering, that in addition to data, code, and publications, there's quite a lot of other research products that are really quite popular, like blogs, like interactive websites, presentations, these kind of or online archives. So we're kind of re-examining kind of what exactly is a scholarly output and trying to figure out how we can include these other, sometimes very, very popular outputs within this larger ecosystem. So that's just something we're beginning to grapple with. All right, let's switch slides again. Right. So lastly, in terms of our next steps, I wanted to thank Leonidas for making a fantastic presentation to our internal open science community at the bank earlier this week, actually. And it was really great for the community to see the transparency of how the research graph works, because people really want to know the details. People at the bank, they love data. They want to see how everything works. So the fact that everything is documented and outlined and very transparent is very helpful to people. They can see what is going on. And it makes the data much more defensible at the bank in terms of explaining why this is a good solution for us. Our next steps are really to we haven't made it public yet. We're planning to make a few sections of it public, hopefully in January. And then we'll be making additional sections public as we kind of review them and validate to make sure all the data is correct and that we're happy with it. And after that, we'll be working with the repositories that are not yet included to integrate them into the research graph and to really help those repositories adopt standards and make them more interoperable. Lastly, we really want to focus on adding this usage plugin to the repository so we can get a better sense of the usage statistics. Because we do monitor the usage statistics when we publish on our own platforms, but we don't really know like the downloads in other platforms outside the World Bank. So we really want to, share our data so it can be integrated into the larger research graph, and so we can get a much better picture of the overall usage of our content. And I'm very interested to see the slides Leonidas just went through, looking at influence. All the other kind of like metrics are of great interest to the World Bank, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can use those better. So that's all I had. And I just wanted to say that it's been really great working with OpenAIRE. They've been a really fantastic partner for us over the past couple of years. And they're providing a service that I don't think we can really get anywhere else. And it's been really easy to work with them. And working with them has really highlighted the challenges that we need to fix on our own in the bank itself. We really need to comply more with standards. It's really making us look at our own output, trying to see how it can be made better. So yeah, so that's all I had for now. I'm happy to take any questions, or you can email me if you want at kbannon@worldbank.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie, for your presentation and for your kind words for your cooperation with OpenAIRE. Leonidas, would you like to add something, or anyone has any questions or comments? No. We will share, Katie, your email to the follow-up email, if this is okay with you, so everyone can reach you. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice afternoon. And see you at the next webinar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.